most coaches tend to take a couple of years to get from level 1 to 2, because there's a consolidation of information that is required at each stage. And that's one of the things we'll get into in a little bit in terms of when you're setting goals and you're planning, trying to build the foundation that you already have before you try and add. And a lot of people will rush to the level 2 and they haven't practiced everything they've learned in the level 1. A good idea is that, like, the level 1, if you're successful, is you've passed the driving test. Now you need to go drive for a couple of years before you take an advanced driving course. You wouldn't sort of pass your driving test, then go to a racetrack and just assume that you could suddenly drive around a racetrack. You're going to end up in the gravel. So practice what you preach, and practicing your riding skills, consolidating your riding skills at that level, your demonstration skills, your coaching skills, because each level requires a consolidation of the previous levels. So if you're coming into level 2 and you're still trying to remember the braking lesson, trying to remember how you explain stability, or maybe you taught for a little bit and then you've not taught for a couple of years and now you're coming back to level 2, you're having to relearn everything from the level 1 almost whilst you're also processing the level 2. And you can kind of cut and paste that for each level. If you're doing that at the level 3, the whole goal in the level 3 is to show refinement and autonomy in your riding or your teaching. And if you're having to learn the skill itself, it's really hard to be autonomous when it comes to teaching that skill. And that's one of the big roadblocks on the level 3, is we're looking for that autonomy in your teaching. And during a 4-day course, if you're trying to learn how to do a endo for the first time, but you're trying to show autonomy in teaching, that is a ton of development that is required in 3 days. And as we all know, it takes a very long time to develop your writing skills independently of your coaching skills. And on a course, you're actually trying to do 2 at the same time. So within reason, we want every course to provide an opportunity to develop your writing skills. But the more homework you can do so that you're coming in with the mindset of, I can do these skills, now all I need to do is consolidate and understand how to teach these skills, then you're going to be way ahead of the curve. And that's partly why so many people take a long time to get the level 4, is because they are still spending a lot of time developing their riding skills to get to that level. And so if you're in the middle of a black jump trail or a technical terrain and you're thinking about your own riding, for whatever reason it might be, it's incredibly difficult to then show autonomy and refined, polished coaching if you're basically in the mindset of a student. You're looking after yourself, you're remembering to stay braced or centered or whatever it is. You can't have that bandwidth to sort of plan your lesson or plan your drill or think of the feedback or what's the terrain choice. So yeah, I would say 1 to 2 years, going back to the timeline idea, level 1 to 2, level 2 to 3. I would sort of repeat that again, 1 to 2 years, depending on how much coaching and riding development you have. And then the level 4 could be at least 2, if not more, seasons between the level 3 and level 4. For me, it took me 10 years to become a level 4 in the snowboard system. I probably could have done it in 7 or 8, but there were a few years there where I didn't have the money and all this other stuff. Life gets in the way, for sure. So for me, I think I was realistically ready for the level 4, anywhere between like 7 to 10 years. I ended up getting it in 10 years. So I feel you all when I see coaches going through all the systems. I've been there. I know what it's like. And even in myself with my degrees in the past or my own coaching pathway, if I look at when I started teaching mountain biking to when I started teaching level 4 courses, that was 99. That was just over 10 years. So it was almost the same timeline for me on the bike as well. So I don't know if that helps, but just a quick review there of the 4-tier system. and talking about consolidating things before the next level, and maybe a bit of a timeline, typical standard timelines between those 4 tiers. But yeah, let's keep digging in unless any of you have any questions there.